Boker Or Kal Kadosh. Good morning, Bekiim Bahalacha 3, day 105. This is in Siman 49, Memtet. We were speaking about again after Rabbi Mansour was giving the shiur in our Bet Knesset. We were speaking about the different Pesukim, reading it orally or not. And today we're going to learn about the other halachot as well. So, what about Kaddish Li? For example, every single morning we get up, we put on a tefillin, and we say Kaddish Li Chol Bechor. Now, the majority of people, they say Bal Peh, they say it by heart. But it's Pesukim from the Torah. So it says like this: the common custom in many communities is to recite the passage of Kaddish and Vayaki V'yecha while wearing tefillin. In those communities, everyone knows them fluently, and therefore it's permissible to say them by heart. If someone happens to be in a community where people do not practice this custom and therefore don't know it fluently, it is best to read it from the prayer book, from a sidur. If that is not possible, and there is still sound basis to be lenient to recite it by heart, because since this is something that you usually do, so we know that the Moroccan minhag, the Tunisian minhag, even the Chalabi minhag, was they used to do Kaddish Chol Bechor, everybody together after Hodu. And the reason for that minhag was is that by then everybody already put on their talit and tefillin, and therefore they all did it reciting it together. Many times at Doton Mizrach, they do it in the morning by themselves. It's completely separate. But by us, we do it all together. So everybody knows it. Everyone's reading. There's after Hodu and you're reading it. So again, you have what to rely on. But again, if you're going to be in another place where they don't do it, then it's better to read it from a sidur if you can. If not, you could be leaning, you still have what to rely on. Let's look at the footnote. Footnote number 111 comes and it says like this: the Petach HaDavid. He comes and he says the passage of Kaddish Li in the category of passages that only some people know fluently. Assuming that this is true, so that Moshe's opinion is that you're not allowed to say it. Or the opinion of the Bach, right? The Beit Chadash, that's what we mentioned. It was. And Ma'amar Mordechai Bekiim Yosef is that it's permissible. Remember, Bekiim Yosef is the Rav Chida. The Rav Chida goes like the Bach. The Petach HaDavid, that although it should be permissible according to opinion number 3. The Chavot Yair rejected that this opinion is not reliable. What's more, he says the Chesel Alafim, that's Rabbi Eliezer Papo, and the Magen Avraham both ruled that even when reciting a passage for your own sake, unless everyone knows it fluently, you may not say it by heart. That means even though it's for you, you're not doing it, you say chovah other people. It's still going to be not permitted. But when you're doing it on behalf of others, you're not allowed to do it. The Pech Tachadvid admitted that there's an opinion that permits reciting any passage by heart as long as it's not an obligation. Rabbi Yonah, however, said the exact opposite. Right? The Chavot Yair, he declared that Rabbi Yonah's distinction is most correct. So he says there's going to be opinion number 4 that he says over here that the entire prohibition applies only to public Torah reading, but not to an individual's reciting of Pesukim. So for here, it's not a public Torah reading. This is something, an individual. And this is actually found in the Yerushalmi. But the Radbaz, Rabbi David ben Zimra, comes and he demonstrated that the Talmud Bavli does not agree with this. And therefore, besides the Pedro added, there are customs to actually sing the Kaddish Lichol B'chor with Ta'amim. And the Ritva's opinion is that whenever it's going to be with Ta'amim, you're not allowed to do it by heart. The only reliable factor then for this leniency is, it turns out, is the fact that people know it fluently. As mentioned in the beginning of the discussion, the Pesukim debated whether one can rely upon this leniency or not. The Petach HaDavid concluded that whenever one wishes to rely upon this, right, he has basis, but it's better to do it from a sidur. The Kaf HaChaim Sofer brings down Petach HaDavid. He later issued his own ruling, stating that we should not rely upon the Beit Chadash, right? And Halacha Brura, he comes and he says communities where they do not bother to say it at all, then even those who fluently should say it from a sidur. Obviously, that means Rav David Yosef was being mekel for like hours for ourselves, that we do say it all the time. We can deduce based on this discussion. The problem arises only in communities where many people do not know it by heart. Okay, halacha number 6. Every shliach tzibur, every cantor is obligated to review the Torah reading privately before saying the Torah in the Bet Knesset for the congregation. According to some poskim, if the cantor is very familiar with the proportion, he can do it by himself by heart or not. So in a situation when this becomes necessary, again, he has what to rely on, right, on this opinion, that he could do it to himself by heart, just going over the parasha. So Yaakov Yosef explained that in this case, the Shliach Tzibur, he knows it fluently, but he's not all the time reciting it, right, on behalf of others. Moreover, according to the Ritva, it's permissible to review the written Torah to yourself, because again, you're not going to be tzedachobah the other people. Okay, number 7. Number 7, there's a common custom. Halacha Zayin. There's a common custom for people to add at the end of the Amidah prayer a pasuk, the first letter of the name and the last letter of their name. Although these pasukim are printed in the Sidur and they're probably not known fluently by everyone, there's a sound basis to permit reciting them bal peh. If possible, however, one should choose a pasuk that is known fluently by everyone, meaning that there are certain pasukim there that it depends. Meaning, if you look in certain prayer books, it gives you different pasukim that it has the first letter of your name and last letter. So he says, try to choose a pasuk that everybody knows by heart. Don't choose one of these pasukim, which is very difficult. Challenges custom, since in most cases the pasuk that matches the person's name is not known fluently to everyone. So the Shalom reconcile the custom, since the person reciting the pasuk knows it fluently, so he's allowed to say it for his own. Okay, but again, if it's not known to everybody, so maybe you shouldn't do it. Okay, halacha number 8. The common custom in many communities is to say mizmorim from Tehillim by heart, without limitation reservation, completely ignoring this halacha, forbidding one to say it by heart. This includes the Pesukim that only few people know it. There is sound basis for this practice, but nevertheless, it is best to take care to read the mizmorim from printed text. When someone is traveling, waiting in line, or in any other situation where he would be wasting time, so then again, the best choice is to do Mishnayot by heart. Of course, that calls for people to invest enormous effort in studying Mishnayot and memorizing them. It is much easier to say the Tehillim that everyone automatically knows than to come and start saying Mishnayot. Let's see the footnote 114. The response to Chavot Yair. So he ruled that it's permissible to say the entire Tehillim by heart. Right? This is Chavot Yair. Tehillim, no problem. He explained that since the entire text of Tehillim consists of inspirational verses, right? So therefore it's like a tefillah more than anything else. The Mishabra ruled that we may rely upon this leniency, especially since several poskim rule that the entire prohibition applies only when one person says it on behalf to be other people. So you have like two things what to rely on. Right, number one, maybe it's a tefillah, it's not even Torah, meaning it's not like ketuvim, it's not scriptures. And number two, also, you're not being so anybody else. The Kav HaChaim Sober, however, demonstrated that the Chayei Adam Chesed Lafig disagree with this leniency and discourage the practice reciting Tehillim al Peh. Right, the Chikar Lev concurred with this as well. He agreed with this. Notwithstanding, he says those who wish to follow the lenient opinion, they have what to rely on. Right, that Rishon LeZion actually brings down that it's permissible for each person to say the pasuk with his name. And the Chovot Yair fortified this ruling with the opinion of Rabbi Yonah. So there are several more arguments also for leniency for Tehillim. The Ritva ruled that whenever a person says a passage or prayer that's not a Torah study, he may say it. Okay, and he says it's forbidden only, and this is also the opinion number 2, it's only forbidden to say Pesukim from the Torah, not from Nach, meaning Nach is not included. That's another opinion. So because of all these things, technically it would have been permitted, but notwithstanding the Siftei Shoshanim, he comes and he brings down that Manan did not mention any of these lenient opinions, so therefore you shouldn't really do it. Kuy Yosef explained that it seems from the Shulchan Aruch that it should be forbidden to say Tehillim Bal Peh, but he said, but there's a common practice, custom to permit it, and therefore that's what we do. Have a wonderful day.